Hello, Mr. Matt here. Welcome back, friends. Just a reminder, as always, you can always pause and rewind and rewatch these videos anytime you want. I really encourage that. And I also encourage you playing. So if you see something on the screen and you want to try that, feel free to pause, give it a try. It's the best way to learn is by doing. So let's go ahead and get into it. We left all these shapes from the previous previous video that we had done, talking about using the hole tool to remove material from shapes to create new and unique shapes that we can resize and move and utilize in any of our designs that we may make for our 3D printing. And so what I'm going to do today is we talked about holes and cutting things out. Today I want you to talk about slicing and removing material, almost like you're kind of a sculptor and you have a big thing of clay and you're just trying to remove little pieces. And this is a way for you to design and build very unique shapes that otherwise you would not be able to make very easily here in Tinkercad. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to remove a couple of objects. We'll leave a few in here just as examples that we can remember what we've done before. Very often we may need to design something. So like I dropped in the cube and now I've reshaped it. So it's this long rectangular object here. And I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit taller. And in my design, I need to remove some material. Doesn't matter which material, but I just need to remove some material. So I bring in another block and I go ahead and make it a similar length as I did here before. I'm going to raise it up, and in my design what I need to do is I need to cut this corner off all the way down, almost like if I put it on a plane and I'm just like with a bandsaw and I'm just cutting off the corner. Okay? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to bring it up into our object close and we're going to rotate it, let's say 45 degrees. We want to make a simple 45-degree cut on this object. And so what I'm doing is I'm working it in closer and closer. I'm moving around the screen to make sure that I'm right where I need to be. Okay, so I just want to lop off that corner. And we're not doing anything super exact right now. We'll learn how to do this exactly later. But this is just kind of like playing with the tool so that we can do the design. So we can imagine that this block, I'm using it to shave off the edge of my block. And so I'm going to take this top object here and I'm going to turn it into a hole. And now you can see in the transparency that gray section of the block, of this larger block, is what I'm going to cut off. And now if I move it around a little bit, we can change that. I can actually resize my hole if I want to shave off a little bit more. I can spin around, take a look from different angles and say, yeah, that looks about what I need. That looks really cool. So again, we're going to come in here, we're going to multi-select like that. So I've selected both the hole and the solid. I'm going to come back up here in our union group and we're going to go ahead and join the two. Click. And you can see that hole has removed it. Oh, now look at this. I left it so that it was in just a little bit. And so now I have this like really interesting little notch by accident. I didn't want that. I made a mistake. Totally fine. We all make mistakes. Remember, we use our Control-Z, or we can come up here and click the undo button. And when we undo it, it comes right back. And let's zoom in on that mistake. Yeah, that's right. My block was just a little it left just a little bit. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to drag it over. So I want to make sure that that edge cuts straight, nice, and sharp. So I came back, so I undid that action. Now let's go ahead and redo it again. And now you can see I don't have that mistake there again. Look at that. We rescued and we fixed the mistake. We didn't get upset. We didn't get frustrated. We just went ahead and cleaned it up and we used the magical undo button. And so you can see how I use that shape. Instead of punching a hole or cutting out something all the way through, I used it as a slicing, almost like a bandsaw. We just cut that piece off. And now I have this very unique, very different shape that I might use. So we can almost think of it as like, oh, this looks like a toolbox, like my dad's old toolbox. How can I now go ahead and cut out the inside of it? Well, I can now use what I learned before, turn it into a hole. Let's make it pretty shallow. Let's make it tall. And let's drag it right there into our block. And you can see the outline of where the cut is going to be made. Now I don't want it to go all the way to the bottom. Let's drag it up just a little bit so that I leave a little bit of the bottom. I'm not cutting all the way to the edge because I want it to have some structure. Let's go ahead and drag this over and just kind of play with it. Again, we're just playing. We're not trying to design anything specific. We're not trying to do anything. I just put it right to the edge. I want it to be right inside. We can almost imagine this to be kind of the handle. All right, awesome. So I went ahead and made my slice, and now I'm going to punch a hole out of this shape. So let's go ahead and multi-select them. Let's do our union in our group. And now we can see, oh man, it's almost like a mailbox now where people put their mail into the box. And it's got that slice, and now we have a little bit of a space here to go ahead and put something in. So you could imagine us printing this on our 3D printer, and we have the ability to put a little bit of mail in here. Maybe we want to have another little cut here. Hey, let's give it a try. Remember, we're playing. We're just exploring. You can do any shape here. I'm literally, this is completely unplanned. I'm just playing, and that's what I want you guys to do at home, is to just play and have fun and just imagine making something that's cool. And remember, just move around the screen so we can build what we want, make it nice and tall. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's go ahead and put it here right in the middle. That looks kind of cool. All right, now let's get in here. Now I want to make sure that this edge comes all the way over here. So I'm going to grab that little black dot right there and drag it all the way. Oh, I ran out of space, so let's bring it over again and come right to the edge. That looks pretty good. So we're going to have this like little slot in the back. I don't know, put some notepad in there, or let's go ahead and join the two again, and let's make another cut, and boom, there we are. So we can put a notepad in here for like a to-do list. You can imagine mom or dad or anyone putting your notepad in the back, and then we go ahead and put our mail in here that we got to take care of, and there we go. We just made a kind of a mailbox out of nowhere using our cutting tools, using the hole feature for us to slice an object, for us to kind of gouge out, almost like removing the material like a hole punch, and then making a really thin, what happened? I don't want that to go all the way to the bottom. I made a mistake. Let's go ahead and undo. So I brought that shape back. I don't want that to go all the way to the ground. So let's go ahead and select the hole, and let's bring it up just a little bit. Let's check to see how high off the ground we are. Yeah, we're off the ground. That looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and join those two again. Let's check to make sure, yep, we have a bottom now, so nothing's going to fall through our block. And there we go. We've built this object. And what did we do? We made 3 cuts. We made the slice cut first to kind of cleave off the edge. We used another cut, the hole tool, by resizing a cube here and turning that into a hole, and then using that to resize, right? And we went ahead and cut that piece out. And then over here, we made another cut and made it a lot thinner and put that right in there. And we resized it. We made it taller so that we could see that it was coming out of the material. And we went ahead and made that cut. And so we used 1 cube to make our base shape. We used 1, 2, 3 other cubes that were set as holes to then ultimately make this really cool little thing that we can go ahead and print on our 3D printer, maybe even put in our kitchen and be useful and help mom or dad make something. So this is super cool. Great way for us to use the holes feature that we talked about in the previous video, and then use the holes feature as a cutting option to create angles or shapes. And again, I used all cubes in this manner. In this example here, I could have chosen anything. So I could have chosen any of these blocks and said, okay, well, I want this cylinder to have kind of this kind of conical slice. So I'm going to turn this half cylinder into there, and I'm going to go ahead and have it go right through the middle here. Let's go ahead and bring that out a little bit. Let's see what happens. Nothing perfect. Boom, look at that. Almost like a piston head kind of design right there. Kind of cool little slice. Really unique shapes and unique curve there. So we can use any of the shapes both to be solids, but also use the shapes as our cutting and our cutting tools. So you could almost imagine, hey, I want this little thing here where I want these little divots on my design. So let's go ahead and come on over here. Let's bring this guy up here. Let's bring it up. Oh, well, let's bring this guy over here. Sorry. Let's go ahead and bring our ball up, the little sphere up, right? And I want to put it right there on the edge, right? And I want to create a couple of them. So I'm going to Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move them around. I'm going to keep creating more, and I'm just going to put them around the top. And again, I'm just playing. It doesn't matter. I'm just playing. Control C, Control V. But what's the issue right now? I have created a bunch of shapes. Well, let's go ahead and turn all of those spheres into holes. So I just start clicking on them. I go over here, turn them into holes, turn them into holes, and so you can do this to multiple objects at one time. So I've gone ahead and made all my placements, and so let's come out here. Again, let's select everything so they all get selected together, and let's go ahead and join them into a group. And you can see here, as Tinkercad works, it will slowly update. And wow, look at that. I mean, I don't know if it's useful, but it's pretty cool. And we've gone ahead and cut all these little cylinders out of this object. And so again, a super complex object. We could print that. I don't know what we would do with it. You can almost imagine, like, I don't know, mom's earrings or bracelets or something of that nature. We can almost imagine what we're trying to create here with these kind of overhangs and these hooks. Doesn't matter. I want you to play. I want you to experiment. I want you to use these shapes to create holes and to make cuts with objects to create something that's more complex that you would otherwise not see here in the basic shapes. And let our imagination, those old days when we used to play with Play-Doh, those days when we play with kinetic sand, we're just playing on the beach making sand castles, whatever it is, I want you guys to use the holes feature as a way to cut, to remove, to gouge, to punch holes, and to create new and exciting shapes that will help you in your designs.